I remember the exact moment I stopped believing in love. It wasn't dramatic. There was no shouting, no slammed doors, no dramatic exit. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was making tea, and I realized I hadn't thought about my boyfriend in 3 hours. That might sound nice to you, like I was living in the moment. But it wasn't that. It was worse. It meant that somewhere along the way, without noticing, I had stopped caring. When you stop caring, that's when you know it's really over. The fights are bad, sure. The tears are painful. But the silence? The silence is the part that kills you slowly. It's like a plant you forget to water. You don't notice it dying at first. One day the leaves are green, and the next day, you touch them and they just fall off. So I ended it. And for a while I felt nothing. That was the scary part. I thought I was fine. I went to work, I ate my food, I watched my shows. I was a ghost in my own life, just going through the motions. But then, 3 weeks later, I was walking home from the grocery store. I was carrying a bag of apples, some milk, the usual boring stuff. And I saw a couple sitting on a bench. They were sharing headphones, listening to music. The girl was laughing at something the boy whispered in her ear. It was such a small, simple thing. And I stopped walking. I stood there on the sidewalk, holding my groceries, and this wave of pain hit me so hard I thought my knees would buckle. I missed it. I missed everything. Not him, specifically, but the small things. The inside jokes. The way you can look at someone across a crowded room and have a whole conversation without words. The feeling of being known. I went home, put the apples in the fridge, sat on my kitchen floor, and cried for 2 hours. I cried until my head hurt and my eyes were swollen. That was the first time I really felt the brokenness. It wasn't a crack. It was a crater. After that, I became really good at being alone. Too good, maybe. I built a wall around myself. It wasn't made of bricks, it was made of routine. Every day was exactly the same. Wake up. Coffee. Work. Dinner alone. Read a book. Sleep. A routine is safe because nothing unexpected can get in. And nothing unexpected can hurt you. I told myself I was healing. I told myself I was strong. But really, I was just hiding. It's like when you have a bad cut but you're too scared to look at it, so you just keep a bandage on it for months. You tell yourself it's fine, it's healing. But underneath the bandage, it's just getting worse. That was my life for almost a year. I was a perfectly functioning person on the outside. I smiled at my coworkers. I paid my bills on time. But inside, I was just waiting. Waiting for something, I didn't know what. I didn't go on dates. I didn't even look at other men. The thought of starting over, of telling my whole story to a stranger, of being vulnerable again, it felt exhausting.
Impossible.
I remember my friend Sarah trying to set me up with someone from her work. She said, "Ella, he's so nice.
He has a good job.
He likes dogs." And I just looked at her and said, "I don't care." And I meant it. I didn't care if he was nice. I didn't care if he had a good job. I didn't care if he could fly to the moon. The part of me that could get excited about someone new, that part had just stopped working. It was like an old TV that just shows static. And then on a random Saturday, I met Leo. It was at a bookstore. Not a fancy one, just the old one downtown that smells like dust and paper. I was in the poetry section, which was stupid because I don't even read poetry. I just liked it there because it was quiet and no one ever went there. I was looking at a book I had no intention of buying, just pretending to read the back cover so I could be alone with my thoughts. And then I heard a voice. Do you think anyone actually understands poetry, or do we all just pretend? I looked up. There was a guy, maybe my age, holding a book of poems by some writer I'd never heard of. He had tired eyes. Not sad, exactly. Just tired. Like he hadn't slept well in years. I should have just smiled and walked away. That's what the old Ella would have done. The safe Ella. But something made me answer. I think I said, closing the book I was holding, that we find our own meaning in it, even if the poet meant something else. I think that's the point. He nodded slowly. So, it's like a mirror. You look at the words, but you really just see yourself. That was a smart thing to say. Too smart. It made me uncomfortable how quickly he understood. I put the book back on the shelf. Something like that. I started to walk away, but he spoke again. I'm Leo, by the way. I'm not a creep, I promise. I'm new in town. I don't know anyone. And you looked like you were thinking about something important. I stopped. I turned back. I was thinking about whether I should get a cat. He laughed. It was a real laugh, not a polite one. It was a little rough, like he hadn't used it in a while. That's a very important decision. What's the verdict? No cat, I said. Too much responsibility. Ah, he said, nodding again. I understand that. I can't even keep a plant alive. A cactus. I killed a cactus. I almost smiled. Almost. How do you kill a cactus? Over love, he said simply. I watered it too much. I thought I was helping, but I was just drowning it. Something about that hit me. It hit me hard, because that's what I did. That's what I did in my last relationship. I gave too much. I cared too much. I watered and watered until there was nothing left but a puddle. I looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. He wasn't trying to impress me. He wasn't trying to be charming. He was just there, being honest, being real. And for the first time in a year, I didn't want to run away. I'm Ella, I said. And that was it. That was the beginning. We ended up talking for 2 hours in that bookstore. We sat on the floor in the corner, leaning against the shelves, and we just talked. We talked about books, about music, about the best kind of sandwich. Normal stuff. Easy stuff. But every once in a while, there would be a pause, and in that pause, I felt like he was looking past my face, past my smile, and seeing something else. Something I kept hidden. He didn't ask me out. He didn't ask for my number. When the bookstore closed, he just stood up, brushed off his jeans, and said, "It was nice talking to you, Ella. Maybe I'll see you around." And he left. I stood there in the empty poetry section, feeling strange. Confused. A little disappointed? No, I told myself. I wasn't disappointed. I was relieved. I didn't want this. I didn't want to start something new. But the next Saturday, I went back to the bookstore. I told myself I needed a new book.
A lie.
A big, fat lie. I went back because I hoped he would be there. And he was. He was in the exact same spot holding a different book. When he saw me, his face did this small thing. It relaxed, like he was relieved. "You came back," he said. "I like this place," I said, defensively. "Me too," he said, smiling that rough smile. "It's quiet." That day, we didn't just talk for 2 hours. We talked until they kicked us out. And then we stood outside on the sidewalk for another hour. It was cold. My fingers were numb. But I didn't want to leave. He told me a little about himself. He was a graphic designer. He moved to the city for a fresh start. That's what he called it. A fresh start. I knew what that meant. It meant he was running from something. Just like me. I didn't ask what. Not yet. I knew that when you're broken, you don't want someone to fix you. You just want someone to sit with you in the mess, without asking questions. After that, it became our thing. Every Saturday, we would meet at the bookstore. We never planned it. We never texted to confirm. We just showed up and the other person was always there. It was unspoken. It was safe. We started going for coffee after. Then we started going for walks in the park. Then one day, he asked if I wanted to see his apartment. He said it was a mess, that he hadn't really decorated, that he only had a mattress on the floor and a chair. He said it like it was a warning. I went anyway. His apartment was exactly as he described. Empty.
Bora.
There were boxes in the corner he hadn't unpacked. There was one plate in the sink, one cup, It looked like a place where someone was staying, not living. A waiting room. I sat on his one chair, and he sat on the floor. He put on some music, some old jazz thing. And we just sat there listening, not talking. It was the most comfortable silence I had ever experienced. Usually, silence feels heavy, like a weight you have to carry. But this silence felt like a blanket. "You don't have a lot of stuff," I said eventually. He looked around the room.
No.
"I don't like to get too comfortable. When you get comfortable, you stop paying attention. And then things fall apart." I knew exactly what he meant. I had made myself so comfortable in my loneliness, I had forgotten how to want more. I had built a little nest in my pain. "Is that why you don't have pictures on the wall?" I asked. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I had pictures. In my old place. Of me and my ex-girlfriend.
Of my family.
After everything ended, I took them all down. It felt like I was erasing my life, but keeping them up hurt too much. So now I just have walls." I looked at his bare walls. They were white, empty. It was the saddest thing I had ever seen. "I understand," I whispered. And I did. I really did. That was the moment something shifted. I wasn't just talking to a nice guy anymore. I was talking to someone who knew. Someone who had been in the same dark room I had been in. Someone who understood that sometimes empty walls are safer than memories. We started spending more time together. Not just Saturdays. We would meet for lunch during the week. We would go to cheap movies and not talk about them afterwards. We would walk through the city at night, when the streets were empty and the only sounds were our footsteps. We never held hands. We never kissed. We were both too scared to cross that line. Because crossing that line meant admitting this was something. It meant giving it a name. And giving it a name meant we could lose it. So we stayed in this strange place. More than friends. Less than lovers. Two broken people, orbiting each other, too afraid to collide. One night, we were sitting on a bench by the river. It was late. The water was black and shiny under the bridge lights. Leo was quiet, which wasn't unusual. But this quiet felt different. It felt heavy. "I haven't told you everything," he said, finally. I looked at him. His face was in shadow. "You don't have to," I said. "I know," he said. "But I want to." He took a deep breath. "My ex-fiancée. She didn't just leave me. She left me for my best friend. My best friend since childhood. I came home early from a work trip. I walked into my apartment, into my bedroom, and there they were. In my bed. In the bed we picked out together. I felt my stomach drop. I couldn't imagine that kind of pain. My breakup was sad, it was lonely, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that kind of betrayal. I didn't shout," he continued. "I didn't cry. I just stood there. And then I turned around and walked out. I left everything. The apartment, the furniture, the pictures. I just took my clothes and my laptop and I left. I couldn't be in that space anymore. Every corner of it had her in it." He picked up a small stone and threw it into the river. It made a small splash and then the water was smooth again. "Since then," he said, "I can't trust anyone.
I try.
I try so hard. But in the back of my mind, there's always this voice. It tells me that everyone leaves. Everyone lies. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when." I didn't know what to say. I wanted to reach out and touch his hand. I wanted to tell him I was different. But I couldn't, because I wasn't sure if I was. I was just as scared as he was. I was just as broken. "I'm sorry," I said.
It was a stupid thing to say.
It was too small, but it was all I had.
He looked at me.
His eyes were wet, but he wasn't crying. "I know you have your own story, Ella. I can see it in you. The way you hold yourself. The way you always sit facing the door, like you're ready to leave at any moment. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop, just like me." He saw me. He really saw me. And for the first time, it didn't feel scary. It felt like coming home. You're right, I admitted. I am waiting. I've been waiting for a year. Waiting for the pain to come back. Waiting for someone to prove me right. That love is a lie and I was stupid to ever believe in it. And have you, he asked. Has anyone proved you right?
I thought about it.
I thought about the men who had glanced at me on the street. The coworkers who made small talk. No one had gotten close enough to prove anything. I had made sure of it.
No, I said.
But no one has proved me wrong either. He nodded. Maybe we're both wrong. Maybe we're both so busy waiting for the bad thing to happen, we're missing the good thing that's right in front of us. I knew what he meant. I knew he meant us.
This.
Whatever this was. We sat there for a long time, not saying anything. The river moved. The city hummed in the distance. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time.
Hope.
It was small and fragile, like a tiny flame in a big wind. But it was there. The next week, I did something brave. I invited him to my apartment. It was the opposite of his. My place was full of stuff. Books, pillows, pictures on the walls, plants on the windowsill. It was cozy. But as he walked in, I saw it through his eyes. I saw it for what it really was. It wasn't a home. It was a fortress. Every object was a distraction. Every book was an escape. Every plant was something to care for, so I didn't have to care for a person. He looked at a picture of me and my friends, laughing at some party years ago. You look happy here, he said. I said. That was before. Before what? I sat on my couch. He sat next to me, leaving a small space between us. A safe space. Before I realized that happy doesn't last, I said. Before I realized that the person you love can become a stranger. That you can wake up one day next to someone and feel completely alone. I told him everything. I told him about the slow dying of my last relationship. About the silence. About the Tuesday afternoon when I stopped caring. About the couple on the bench and the apples and the 2 hours of crying on the kitchen floor. When I finished, I felt empty. But it was a good empty. Like I had finally opened a door that had been locked for too long. Leo didn't say anything. He just moved closer. He didn't touch me, not really. But his shoulder was close to mine. I could feel the warmth of him. Can I tell you something? He said quietly. Okay. I'm scared, he admitted. I'm scared of you. I'm scared of how much I like being with you. Because the more I like it, the more it's going to hurt when it ends. I turned to look at him. His face was close to mine. I could see the small lines around his eyes, the stubble on his jaw. He was real. He was here. He was scared, just like me. I'm scared too, I whispered. But I'm also tired. I'm so tired of being scared. I'm tired of living in a fortress. I'm tired of waiting for the bad thing.
He looked at me.
So, what do we do? It was the simplest question in the world, but it was also the hardest. What do two broken people do? Do they stay broken alone, safe? Or do they try to put the pieces together, even though they know the pieces are sharp and they might get cut? I thought about my empty walls. I thought about his bare apartment. I thought about all the love we had given that was wasted. And I thought about how maybe, just maybe, love wasn't meant to be kept. Maybe it was meant to be given, even if it hurt, especially if it hurt. We try, I said. We try and we fail, and we try again. We don't promise forever, because forever is a lie. We just promise today.
Right now.
We promise to be here, in this moment, with each other. And tomorrow, if we're still here, we promise again. He looked at me for a long moment. His eyes searched mine, looking for the catch, looking for the lie.
But there was no lie.
There was only me. Scared, broken, hopeful me. And then he reached out. His hand touched my face.
His palm was warm against my cheek.
It was the gentlest touch. Like he was holding something precious, something that might break. I can do today, he said. I can do right now.
And that was it.
That was the moment. Not a grand romantic gesture. Not a declaration of undying love. Just two broken people choosing, for one moment, to stop being broken alone. To try being broken together. We sat there on my couch, in the quiet of my apartment, surrounded by all my distractions. And for the first time, I wasn't distracted. I was present. I was there, with him. We didn't rush into anything. We didn't suddenly become a perfect couple. Healing doesn't work like that. It's not a light switch. It's more like a sunrise. It happens slowly, so slowly you don't even notice it at first. 1 minute it's dark, and then, without you realizing, there's light. The first time we held hands was 2 weeks later. We were walking through the park. It was autumn, and the leaves were falling. He reached out and took my hand. It was so simple, but my heart was beating so fast I could hear it in my ears. I wasn't scared. I was alive. For the first time in years, I felt alive. The first time he kissed me was even later. It was in his apartment, the bare one with the empty walls. He had finally hung one picture. It was a small drawing I had made for him. A stupid little sketch of a cactus. He framed it and put it on his wall. I pointed at it and laughed. "That's the only thing on your wall?" He smiled. "It's the only thing that matters." And then he kissed me. It was soft. It was gentle. It tasted like coffee and sadness and hope, all mixed together. It wasn't a perfect kiss. It was a real kiss. We made mistakes. Lots of them. We had fights. Stupid fights. Fights about what to eat for dinner. Fights about him being too quiet. Fights about me overthinking everything. But underneath every fight, there was something new. There was trust. We fought, but we didn't run. We got angry, but we didn't leave. We were learning, slowly, painfully, that the other person wasn't going to disappear. One night, after a stupid argument about nothing, we were lying in his bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was dark. His hand was in mine. "I almost left tonight," I admitted. "I know," he said. "I felt it. Why didn't you let me?" He squeezed my hand, "Because I know what it's like to be the one who leaves. And I know it doesn't fix anything. You just take the brokenness with you. It's better to stay and try to fix it together." I turned on my side to look at him. In the dark, I could just see the outline of his face. "I think I'm getting less broken," I said, slowly. He turned to face me. "Me too. I think we're not two broken people anymore. I think we're two people helping each other carry the weight." That was it. That was the truth. Love doesn't fix you. It doesn't magically heal all your wounds. But it gives you someone to hold your hand while you heal yourself. It gives you someone to share the weight. I thought about all the time I had wasted, hiding in my fortress, afraid to feel anything. I thought about the couple on the bench, the one that had made me cry so hard. They weren't my enemy. They weren't a reminder of what I lost. They were just two people sharing a moment, just like me and Leo right now. We didn't live happily ever after. Not in the fairy tale way. Life is too messy for that. We still have hard days. Days when the old fears come back. Days when the silence feels heavy again. But now, when those days come, we don't face them alone. Last week, we went back to the bookstore, the one where we met. We stood in the poetry section, surrounded by all those words, all those mirrors. "Remember when you talked to me here?" I asked. He smiled. "I remember. You looked so scared, like a rabbit ready to run." I was scared, I admitted. I was so scared of you, of this. And now, I looked at him. This man who had seen me at my worst,
Who had sat with me in my mess.
who had never once tried to fix me, only to understand me. "Now," I said, "I'm not scared anymore. I'm home." He pulled me close and kissed the top of my head. "Me too," he whispered. "Me too." So that's my story. It's not a story about perfect love. It's a story about real love. The kind that's messy and complicated and terrifying. The kind that requires you to be brave, even when every part of you wants to run. The kind that two broken people can build, piece by piece, moment by moment, choice by choice. If you're out there and you feel broken, I want you to know something. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to have cracks. Because the cracks are how the light gets in. And someday, maybe, you'll meet someone whose cracks fit with yours. And you won't fix each other, but you'll fit. And that will be enough.